My name is Julian Horton and I'm Professor of Music Theory and Analysis in the Music Department here in Durham, and I work on 19th century instrumental music. So broadly speaking, music from the French Revolution to the First World War, but especially focusing on instrumental music by, well, Beethoven to Schoenberg essentially, but all kinds of music in between as well. So I'm interested in the history of certain genres, and I've published quite a lot in how you try to, well, understand them analytically. So that is to say, you know, if someone gives you a symphony, how do you understand it? Yes. If I said, take this symphony, pull it apart, figure out how it works, and then put it back together again, can you do that? And what tools do you need in order to do that? But also I'm interested in how those genres develop over time, and especially about what happens to primarily the symphony, but also the concerto in this period from the end of the 18th century to the early 20th century. I'm very interested in the music of specific composers, so I've done particular work around, well, 4 composers primarily actually. So Bruckner, so my first monograph was a book about Bruckner symphonies. Secondly, Brahms, so I published a book about the Brahms Second Piano Concerto back in 2017. More recently, Schumann, so various publications around Schumann, so I've just published a book about the Schumann Piano Concerto, for example. And then Mendelssohn as well, to some extent. And also Schubert, so I've done quite a lot of work on Schubert. So there are several edited volumes, for example, which I've been heavily involved with, and publications around Schubert. But other things as well. I mean, I was the editor of the Cambridge Companion to the Symphony, for example. I'm interested in the theory of musical form. So how do you come up with theories that explain how forms work? And especially sonata forms. So I work on how to understand 19th century instrumental forms. But I have a particular interest in what we call postcanonical music theory, which is asking questions like, what happens if we stop assuming that we have to use Beethoven as a paradigm for understanding particular musical forms? What happens if instead we look at all of these other lesser-known composers circulating around Beethoven, for example? What did they do? Is what they did different? If it's different, how does it help us to understand Beethoven? How do we know that Beethoven does things that are genuinely unusual if we only look at Beethoven? I'm interested in what music analysis and music theory can do for historical musicology, or the cultural study of music, or the sort of disciplinary issues around analysis and theory in the universities, in curricula, how you teach in those contexts and what the basis for that is. There's a piece of pragmatic advice and then there's a more general piece of advice, I think. The piece of pragmatic advice is research the degree. So do look at what we do so that you know how the degree programme is constructed and what you are likely to do. The second thing I would say is that studying any degree is a unique thing in your life. If you're studying a music degree, you have an opportunity to spend 3 years simply thinking about music and doing nothing other than that. So enjoy it. You know? Enjoy that experience because it's unique and it's a wonderful thing. And however challenging the degree gets, always bear that in mind.